I'm interviewing Cindy Gabehart. Cindy, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Cindy Gabehart. I'm the high school principal at Pinetree High School in Longview, Texas, and that's it.
I guess the first question is, how would you describe your management style?
Well, it probably varies depending on the situation, but my management style is pretty inclusive. I always feel like I've got to motivate the teachers on my campus so that we're a more powerful team.
Do you feel like that's something you've kind of developed over the years and you've kind of had to adjust that as depending on the person you're dealing with may have changed things?
Definitely. I don't know that it's really changed over time, but I do think it has helped me to understand the different personalities of the teachers and the different strengths that they have, and I do think I've learned to try to develop their strengths and try to put them in roles that match their strengths as opposed to trying to fix everything so that it works in the right way.
What are some common issues that you see pop up in the workplace in terms of either communication or delegation?
Well, I think so much about a school is communication. I think sometimes a teacher can communicate maybe a directive to a student or just a conversation with a parent, and if it's not perceived the correct way, then that communication is missed and the intent of the communication is missed. So I think that's extremely important that you communicate correctly.
And would you say when you guys are bringing on a new hire that there's sort of any educational training available, or is that something that you'd like to see implemented? Do you have anything established for that?
We do have a lot of things established for that. Some teachers come to you maybe directly from industry, and they do an alternative certification route. So in that respect, they're not very familiar with student management, discipline, those kinds of things, learning how to redirect a student who might be negative, learning how to motivate people to learn what you want them to learn. They come very prepared in the content area. So if it is perhaps a new teacher who's doing an alternative certification route, we spend a great deal of time helping them understand the management and try to help them learn how to motivate people under them so that they are able to get the most out of the student as opposed to just making a student do something.
Right. So you're saying that the motivation is key, and then also I would assume they have the same issues in terms of each individual student having to kind of be tailor-made to that person.
Right. They do. And at the same time, we also want to empower our teachers to have high expectations, and so then we need to support them. And if they need training in learning how to be more interactive with students, or if they have to learn how to be more direct, but just all the pieces that make a successful classroom, we try to educate them and train them. We also try to support them with a mentor, someone in the district who perhaps matches what they're trying to learn to do.
Do you guys feel like you have a good performance management system in terms of goal setting and tracking those goals as they go along?
I do think we do a good job of that. We do set goals. In a school, of course, the curriculum is laid out, and so you have teams of teachers that work together and that helps because it keeps each person on track, and then they have each other to bounce ideas when something doesn't seem to work like you want it to. So that seems to work well. Then we also try to move that same idea down to students, where a student sets a goal and then we measure it by assessments, whether they're short-term assessments or longer-term assessments. And then, of course, here in Texas, the accountability system keeps you on track for a lot of those things.
What would you say is a unique problem that schools have that, say, the commercial industry or a non-education field would have?
Probably, I would say that we I guess, try to educate the students that come to us. We don't get to say, well, okay, you're not the top 30%, so go home. We have to, we take those students that come because those students are the best that parent has brought to us. And so I do think that's a little different in industry. And while you almost have to run a school like a business, you can't run a school like a business. It has to be, there has to be a great deal of give and take in a school.
You mentioned that the education field has some differences versus, a standard business. Is there anything else that you would like to expand on that?
One of the things that I thought about is how our schedule drives our days, and it drives the order of your school. It drives actually what a student can take, so you have to be very, very careful. Some of our upper students want to take an AP course or a dual credit course in conjunction with a college, and so if you pile those on top of each other, then that student's not able to take as many courses as he or she would like, and so you have to be really, really careful about your schedule. Then also in a high school, you have all these extracurricular activities. You have band, drill team, choir, theater, athletics. Football is big, basketball. We have soccer, and so it's like you're trying to orchestrate a lot of pieces. But if you can fine tune your schedule and make it right, it makes your whole company, if you will, or school run very, very well.
And so, kind of along those lines with the education side, do you feel like that the state mandates that your governing body has influence on your decision making throughout the day? How much would you say that plays a factor?
Well, that is a huge factor. Our accountability system in Texas it's a big PR thing. Whether you think it's fair or not, it's still a system that you need to work toward high expectations in those areas. One of the areas I do feel like Texas has tried to work over time to make it as fair as possible for a wealthy school or a not as wealthy school, and sometimes that's been an issue. But they've brought in more components. There's one component, it's called college and career and military readiness, and that's kind of a new component to ours. And so we want students to be industry certified. We want to bring in a lot of other things other than just the academic test so that we prepare kids for the future. And so that's been a big change for Texas.
One important piece of management and organizational theory is conflict resolution. How would you guys say that that is handled in the educational field?
Conflict resolution is huge, and that's an issue that if you can help your teachers learn to resolve conflict peacefully, then that plays a major part in your school. I think one of the things that is very, very important is that you continue to go back to the point that when I'm visiting with a parent, even if we disagree, we're on the same side. We want that student to be successful. So in conflict resolution in a school, very often it's about a parent or a student being heard. And once you hear and really present yourself as trying to help resolve their issue or their concern, then I think that you're on your way to success with the conflict management piece.
I guess to kind of end things, I was going to see what would be one thing that you could, if you could fix with the snap of a finger, what would that be?
Time is a big issue for teachers, but if I could fix anything, I would probably empower the staff to be emotionally strong, and teaching is an emotional job. And if I could empower the people not to take things as criticism, but more as a support to help them, then I think you make your school a happier place and people enjoy coming to your school and teaching there.
Cindy, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Eric, I did think of one more thing that I'd like to mention. My style as a leader on my campus is that I can accomplish a lot of things with just me, but the truth is, my goal for my whole career has been to empower everyone on my campus so that I'm not the lone leader, because you need followers, but I'm the leader because I've empowered the other teachers to be able to do it. So as opposed to one accomplishing something, I have 120 accomplishing something. So I think that's important.
So delegation and employee empowerment are very key.
I think they're very, very important.
I agree as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.